Buy me, please. Deaf alien girl begs human to buy her to pay her father's debt. Please like, share, and subscribe to receive the latest HFY stories. Engines are screaming. Air's like soup down here, Elias muttered, wrestling the yoke as the freighter bucked through the shimmering heat. 50 degrees at least. Look at those dunes warping. Can't even see the outpost straight. He throttled back, thrusters flaring hot. Dropping now. Grab hold. The ship slammed into the sand with a jolt that rattled every panel, dust exploding outward in a choking red cloud that blanketed the viewport for long seconds before drifting away. Elias released the harness and hit the ramp control, stepping into the furnace wind that whipped grit across his face. "Marlowe, you hiding in that junk heap or what?" His shout carried over the outpost racket. Traders barking deals, canvas snapping, distant engines revving. Marlowe shoved aside a hanging curtain of dried spices, his bulk heaving as he dabbed sweat from his brow. "Elias, give me a breath, will ya?" Wasn't ready for company this early. His cloak clung dark and heavy, eyes flicking nervously to the horizon, where a sandstorm brewed. "About your payment. Payment first, talk later." Elias planted his boots wide, arms folding over his scarred pilot jacket. "I slipped your crates past 3 pirate patrols, patched the hull mid-jump. You promised credits the second I touched down. No games." Marlowe's shoulders slumped, his gaze darting back into the stall's cluttered shadows, where a young alien girl sat quietly, pale blue skin glowing faintly in the lantern light, silver hair framing her face like moonlight. Her fingers traced gentle signs in the air, silent conversations with no one visible. "I'm cleaned out, Elias. Off-world buyers gutted my last trade." He lowered his voice, almost pleading. "But Liora, my adoptive girl, she's the fix. 1 year working your ship, assistant duties. Debt erased, clean slate." Elias followed the glance, meeting Liora's deep, kind eyes as she looked up without a sound, her expression holding a quiet intelligence that stirred something soft in him. He scratched his chin, the relentless sun pounding down. "I run freight solo, Marlowe. No need for help, no room for strays. She's no stray, she's gentle, quick with fixes. Won't eat your rations dry. 1 year, that's all I ask." Marlowe's words hung thick, his frame deflating further under the weight. Elias let the silence stretch, pity winning over his usual caution. "Fine. Pity's got me today. 1 year and we're even." He nodded toward the ramp. "Scrape together whatever supplies you can spare. Move it." Marlowe bustled off, hauling out sparse crates of dried goods and basic tools, stacking them near the hold while Elias loaded them aboard, muscles straining under his jacket. Liora stood slowly, clutching her small satchel of herbs against her chest, hesitating at the ramp's edge before boarding with light, deliberate steps, her silver hair catching the harsh glow of the twin suns. Elias sealed the hatch behind them with a solid clunk. "Find a seat back there. Strap in tight. We lift in 60. He returned to the cockpit, engines already spooling as he scribbled on the data pad and passed it aft. "Help secure those crates? Hyperspace jump soon." The freighter roared upward, thrusters carving fresh craters in the dunes below, leaving Helios 9's twin suns shrinking into the rear viewport. Liora moved with graceful efficiency once airborne, reorganizing scattered cockpit items during the climb. Tools aligned neatly, loose panels latched, her quick actions revealing a sharp mind at work. Elias glanced back, impressed despite himself. "You've got a knack for order. Makes my mess look worse." She caught the pad mid-task, scribbling back while gesturing smoothly. "Clutter slows things. All set now." Her intelligence shone in the precise way she adjusted a nav console, anticipating his next move. Elias banked toward open space, plotting the jump to Aurelia. A lush colony 12 light-years away, its green domes a welcome contrast to the desert hell fading behind. "Aurelia's got rain forests. Fresh air, you'll see soon enough." He passed another note. "Ever left a dust ball like this?" Liora's reply came with a simple sketch of waving plants, her homeworld's flora drawn in flowing lines. A loose panel shifted during a minor course tweak, its edge slicing Elias's hand open. Ah, watch that junk. He pressed the cut, wincing. Liora knelt beside him without hesitation, opening her satchel to sprinkle a strange glowing herbal powder over the wound. It sealed instantly, the pain evaporating like mist. How'd you pull that off? It feels brand new already, she wrote quickly, herb from old gardens, binds skin fast. Accompanying it, a detailed doodle of the plant, roots twisting deep. Elias flexed his hand, gratitude mixing with curiosity. That's a lifesaver on long hauls. Thanks. He slid the pad over again. You handle silence like a pro. What's your story? Stories and signs and sketches. She added a small smiling face, her gestures warm even without voice. He chuckled softly, the sound easing into the engine hum. Fair enough. Beats yelling over comms. Henam. Through more notepad exchanges, he jotted about his routine freight runs, quiet drops between outposts, avoiding old military ghosts, while Liora responded with drawings of alien ecosystems, harmonious waves in her flora that hinted at deeper worlds. Subtle affection grew in those shared moments, the cockpit's steady thrum wrapping around them like a shared secret. Elias adjusted vents for cooler air. These jumps get lonely, but you're making it bearable. He passed. Hungry yet? Rations in the locker. Liora prepared simple meals from the packs, adding pinches of her herbs that transform bland into something vibrant. Steam filling the space with unfamiliar but welcoming scents. They ate side by side, utensils clinking in companionable quiet. Not bad. Spices everything up. She tilted her head at a faint engine vibration, signing a question. Elias noticed. That's just the core cycling. Old ship, old habits. He scribbled, you sensing something off? Feels like a rhythm. Almost music. Her sketch captured swirling patterns, echoing the hum. He studied it, a quiet comfort setting in her gentle presence amid the streaking stars. More hours passed in small tasks. She tidied the tool bay with efficient labels. He demoed the finicky coffee brewer. Watch the pressure valve. There, you got it. Liora handed him a perfect mug, steam rising steady. Beats station slop any day. Scribble. You'll fit right on Aurelia. Markets need your touch. Her thumbs-up doodle included a tiny star, warmth in every line. They traded further notes. He mapped a sample route. She illustrated herb uses for common ailments. The engines droned on, building an unspoken rhythm between them. Console pinged softly with a scan anomaly. Probably leftover dust clogging things. Elias reset it, focus returning to the nav plot as Liora added another thankful sketch, her silver hair gleaming under cabin lights. The journey toward Aurelia continued in that lulling flow, one gesture and scribble at a time. Hyperspace is holding steady. Stars look like paint streaks, Elias said quietly, settling deeper into the pilot's chair as the freighter glided through the endless black. The cockpit lights cast a soft glow, engines humming like a distant lullaby. He turned to Liora, who sat nearby watching the controls with wide curiosity. Figured it's time you got hands-on. Here, this diagram shows the basics. He spread a nav chart on the console, pointing gently. Ease this lever for yaw. Watch how she turns. Liora leaned in, her silver hair brushing the panel as her fingers followed his exactly quick, fluid motions that adjusted the ship with surprising grace, her quick learning easing the weight of his usual solo flights. She scribbled on the datapad. Like dancing, feels right. Her gesture spun in the air, excitement sparkling in her deep eyes. Elias chuckled low, a warm rumble breaking his tired routine. Yeah, dancing with a ton of metal. You're a natural. Makes this whole run feel fresh. Her presence turned the cockpit from cold command to something almost cozy. The ship cruised on through quiet interstellar paths. No other vessels in sight, just the vast void wrapping around. Liora rose later, heading to the galley with light steps, unpacking ration packs and adding careful pinches of her herbs, the air filling with subtle, comforting scents that chased away the sterile tang. Come on over. Dinner's upgraded, Elias called, pulling out trays as steam rose invitingly between them. They shared the small table, eating in moments of easy quiet, the silence now feeling less empty, more like a blanket they both rested under. Liora paused suddenly, tilting her head at a faint engine vibration, her empathetic brow furrowing. She pressed a palm to the wall, fingers splaying as if catching a hidden whisper. Elias set his fork down, concern softening his voice. "What is it? That thrum bothering you?" He passed the pad. "Engine's fine, but tell me what you feel." She sketched quick wave patterns, swirling, harmonious lines like secret melodies, her kind eyes meeting his with gentle reassurance. A soft pat on his arm, easing his worry. A routine scan chimed from the console, faint anomalies flickering across the screen. "Huh. Strange blips," Elias muttered, leaning closer to poke at the keys. "Probably just grit from Helios 9 still in the vents. No real issue." He dismissed it with a casual swipe, but his shoulders tensed slightly, old habits kicking in despite the calm. As the hours dimmed for rest, notepad talks grew deeper. Elias sketching his old unit insignia with slow, reluctant lines, hand hesitating as shadows of the past crept in. Nightglass, that was the crew. Wins and losses, mostly the second. Liora's drawings responded tenderly, wave patterns encircling his mark like a soothing embrace, her fingers tracing them with quiet empathy, sadness flickering in her eyes for his unspoken pain. She noticed a small bruise on his arm from bumping a panel earlier, applying the glowing herbal powder with careful dabs. Her touch warm and lingering, building a quiet bond that chased the chill of space. Elias flexed the healed spot, voice thick with gratitude. "You've got magic in that bag. Means a lot." Her smile bloomed, happy warmth lighting her face. The freighter drew near Aurelia's glowing orbit, ecodome sprawling vast over a bustling population of 2 million, green expanses promising life and renewal far from dusty debts. Elias sensed an unfamiliar warmth spreading in his chest, realizing he'd grown to care for this gentle, deaf girl way beyond the year's obligation, her intelligent ways filling voids he'd ignored for too long. Liora passed a thank you sketch, a detailed smiling face with shaded joy, her silver hair catching the cabin lights like stardust as she slid it over. Elias held it a moment, his tired but warm eyes crinkling. "Same here. You're changing things, kid." More small exchanges followed. She doodled questions about Aurelia's plants. He jotted stories of quiet halls under foreign suns. "These domes grow everything. You'll love the markets." Her gestures flourished, excitement in every sign. The ship edged closer, orbits pulled gentle. Elias adjusted final approach. "Almost home? Fresh start." "Nah," but then an encrypted message burst onto the console, harsh alert tones slicing the piece. "Operation Nightglass exposed. You're being watched." Elias's face twisted in sudden anger, fist clenching the armrest hard enough to creak. He whirled to Liora, scribbling fast. "Old military trouble. Don't worry yet." Her eyes widened in fear, hand gripping his sleeve tight. Silent worry mixing with determination, her free hand signing steady support. The warning looped, dread coiling in Elias's gut. "Whatever this means, we're in it now." Liora nodded, packing a small kit with trembling but resolute fingers, her actions shouting trust amid the shock. Cabin air thickened with tension, but her gentle squeeze on his arm anchored him. "We'll figure it. Together." Emotions swirled. His anger at the past, her quiet fear, the warmth refusing to fade. Console lights reflected in her silver hair, as Aurelia loomed larger, promise tainted by threat. Elias breathed deep. "Hold on. Descent starts." Her kind gaze held his, bond strengthening in the storm's whisper. They shared one last quiet look, the void outside no longer empty, their growing connection a light against the unknown. "Engines off." "Aurelia's got that fresh rain scent," Elias muttered as the freighter settled into the modest spaceport, ramp lowering amid the whisper of lush forests swaying nearby. He unbuckled, standing to stretch, but the warning message echoed in his head like a bad echo. "Let's lock down this hangar. Got some minor repairs to knock out." Liora followed him down the ramp, her silver hair catching droplets from a light mist, eyes widening at the towering trees with leaves rustling like distant applause. She signed eagerly, fingers pointing at a cluster of vines climbing the spaceport fence, curiosity bubbling in every gesture. Elias glanced over, securing the hangar doors with a clank. Yeah, those are native climbers. Thrive in this mild air, humid, not too hot. He scribbled on the pad. Help with tools? We'll make this our spot. She nodded with a quick smile, grabbing a toolkit and organizing it neatly on a workbench. Her helpful motions easing the setup, relationship growing in these everyday tasks. Elias watched her for a moment, the warning shadow fading just a bit in her gentle efficiency. You're fitting in already, like you belong. They unloaded cargo crates together, stacking them against the hangar wall, Liora's gestures full of questions about the local flora. Signing about a strange flower peeking from the forest edge, its petals glowing faintly blue. Elias chuckled softly. That one? Harmless. Locals call it glow bloom. Lights up at night. He passed the pad. Curious type, huh? Ask away. Her exploration turned playful as she wandered the hangar's perimeter, tripping lightly over a loose cable snaked across the floor, catching herself with a silent laugh, hands signing an embarrassed shrug. Elias stepped over to help steady her, his touch lingering on her arm. Whoa, watch those wires. Old hangar tricks. The moment passed with warmth, her kind eyes meeting his in quiet thanks, bond deepening amid the mundane. The warning looped insistently in Elias's mind during a break, pushing him to run a full hull scan, fingers tapping keys with growing unease. Liora noticed his furrowed brow, signing concern as she handed him a water pack. Just checking systems. Nothing big, he said, but his voice carried tension. Scan results beeped, revealing a tiny tracking beacon buried in the hull plating, likely slipped on during Helios 9's chaos, its signal pulsing faint but steady like a heartbeat. Panic hit Elias like a cold wave, his fists clenching the console edge. No, they planted a tag. We're lit up like a beacon, he paced, anger flashing in his quick steps. Liora rushed over, sensing the shift in his tense body, hands signing rapid questions, eyes wide with shared alarm. Elias grabbed the pad, scribbling fast. Enemies incoming. My past catching up. We bolt now. Her nod came steady, but she gripped his hand tight, a gesture of solid trust that cut through his panic. Realizing foes closed in, Elias scrambled to the nav console, plotting evasion vectors with frantic taps. Liora beside him, mirroring his urgency by stowing loose gear, her actions calm but quick. Kryos-β, frozen rock, but remote. We shake 'em there. He glanced at her. You good with this chaos? She signed firmly, packing a med kit with resolute motions. Relationship strengthening in the rush, her quiet strength bolstering his frayed nerves. A strange, small creature scurried across the hangar floor then. A furry thing with bioluminescent spots darting from the forest edge. Liora pointed in surprise, distracting them for a split second. Elias shooed it gently. Local pest, harmless, like a glow rat. Focus, time's short. The ship launched abruptly, thrusters blasting leaves from nearby trees as they left Aurelia's green embrace behind. Hyperspace jump, ripping them toward Kryos-V's icy grip. Stars blurred into streaks, the cabin vibrating with speed. Elias wrote more during the tense flight. Beacons from Helios 9. Old unit betrayed me. Sorry you're in this, Liora read, nodding calmly despite the worry etching her features. Preparing emergency kits with methodical care, adding her herbal powders for extra healing. She passed the pad back. Together we fix. Her sign added a reassuring pat on his shoulder, affection clear in the touch. Elias squeezed her hand briefly. Yeah, guess that's the plan. The jump stretched tense, occasional turbulence jostling them, Liora tripping slightly over a strap during one bump, Elias catching her arm. Easy. These old lanes get bumpy. Her silent laugh eased the air, a moment of light amid dread. Approaching Kryos-β, the viewport filled with swirling white, sub-zero winds whipping the frozen moon's surface. Thin atmosphere crackling with static. Brace for landing. How gonna be rough? Elias warned, wrestling controls through the blizzard. The ship hit hard, skidding across ice into a deep snowdrift. Hull groaning as it buried nose first, Elias cutting engines quick. Winds howled at 100 kilometers per hour outside. Visibility near zero. He suited up in thermal gear, tools clinking against his belt in the biting cold, leaking through seals. Stay inside. I'll yank that beacon. Liora watched from the viewport, worried eyes tracking him through the frost, hands pressed to the glass, signing encouragement despite the fear in her posture. Elias trudged out, boots crunching ice, nearly tripping on a hidden crevice as wind shoved him sideways. Steady. Got it, he muttered, prying the beacon free with frozen fingers. A strange creature emerged from the snow then, a small, crystalline thing like an ice beetle, scurrying across his path with glowing antennae. Harmless but startling in the storm. Elias swatted it away gently. Not now. Busy. Tools sparked as he disabled the device, satisfaction mixing with lingering anger. But distant engine roars cut through the gale. Consortium shuttles descending, their mercenary team deploying in the blizzard, armored shapes materializing like ghosts. Elias burst back inside, sealing the hatch against the freeze. They're here, 3 at least. Weapons hot. Stay down. Panic edged his voice, but Liora's firm nod and quick grab of a scanner showed her resolve. Relationship forged tighter in the peril, gestures speaking of unbreakable partnership. He peeked through a porthole, spotting the commander barking orders amid swirling snow. We hold, use what we got. Liora signed tactics, pointing at ship defenses. Her intelligence shining, affection in every worried glance. Elias nodded. Smart. Let's do it your way, too. The storm raged on, enemies closing. Elias's anger fueling his grip on a makeshift tool weapon. Liora's hand finding his for a brief squeeze. Don't worry, kid. We've got this. Her eyes held trust, emotions raw but steady in the frozen chaos. Shields at 60%. Incoming! Elias roared, slamming the inner hatch as plasma bolts hammered the hull, snow exploding into superheated steam that hissed against the metal. Winds screamed like banshees across Kryos-V's frozen crust, the blizzard a blinding white curtain that swallowed the world beyond arm's reach. He dropped to one knee by the viewport, breath fogging fast. 3 mercs out there, commander barking orders, 2 gunners flanking, full consortium armor, plasma rifles glowing hot. Liora crouched beside him, pale blue fingers digging into the deck plating, eyes huge with terror, but her free hands signed sharp and urgent. Ship defenses? Now! The gesture stabbed toward the emergency console, intelligence slicing through raw panic like a blade. Elias's jaw locked, anger surging hot in his veins. Shields will buy minutes. Then we fight dirty. He slid open a narrow firing slit. Special Forces muscle memory kicking in. Shoulder braced, bolt lancing out clean. One gunner dropped in a burst of snow and sparks, rifle skittering across ice. One down, keep your head low. The mercenaries pushed forward through swirling white, commander's muffled shout cutting the gale. Suppress and flank, alive if possible. Plasma sizzled hotter, shields flickering red. Elias reloaded with shaking hands, sweat freezing on his brow. They want cargo, or us breathing, doesn't matter. We're not giving either. He scribbled frantic on the pad. Stay inside, safer here. Liora shook her head violently, panic cresting, fist clenched white, then slammed the control panel in pure desperation. A low, bone-deep, resonant hum erupted from her chest, unseen waves rippling outward like a shockwave. Every enemy rifle sparked, circuits frying in a 50-meter radius, weapons dying with metallic coughs, muzzles drooping useless. The commander's curse ripped through the storm. What the? Weapons offline! Armored figures stumbled back, retreating in confused chaos. Elias burst through the hatch, boots crunching ice, stunned gaze locking on Liora inside. She stared at her trembling hands in abject horror, tears streaming silent down her cheeks, head shaking side to side in denial. No, no. He sealed them in again, heart hammering. You, you killed their guns, every single one. How? His voice cracked between awe and fear, hands gesturing wildly in the air. Liora crumpled to the deck, knees hitting hard, shoulders heaving with silent, gut-wrenching sobs. She scribbled in frantic bursts, "Never deaf, sealed young, power too dangerous." Her gestures curled inward, arms wrapping her torso like shielding a beast. Elias dropped beside her, pulling her into a fierce, protective embrace, his rugged arms trembling but unyielding. "Hey, hey, breathe with me. You just saved our lives." He grabbed the med scanner, running it over her with shaking fingers, readout flaring with anomalous energy signatures pulsing bright. "Audiopathic. You manipulate waves through sound. That's the seal. They buried it to hide this." She buried her face in his jacket, body shaking harder, fear and confusion warring in every sob. Elias stroked her silver hair, voice dropping to a whisper. "It's not a monster. It's you, and you're incredible." Through hurried notepad scrawls, truth spilled like blood from a fresh wound. Liora confessing fragmented memories of childhood labs, needles, a voice saying, "Seal the resonance or she'll shatter worlds." Elias's own secret poured out next, fingers hesitating over the pad. Military implant, control code, subconscious broadcast since Nightglass. "I'm the beacon, you're the bait." His knuckles whitened on the stylus, anger at his betrayal mixing with guilt. Both stared at the words, the ship creaking under wind gusts, realization crashing like ice cracking. Elias the unwitting tracker, Liora the suppressed weapon. Trust surged in the shared betrayal, her hand finding his. Fingers intertwining tight, squeeze of solidarity that steadied his rage. Outside, mercs regrouped in the blizzard. Commander slamming a dead rifle button to snow, shouting into comms. Elias peaked, relief flooding as shuttles powered up. They're pulling back, scared of what they can't fight. He helped Liora stand, her legs wobbling. She tripped on a loose deck grate, Elias catching her waist instantly. "Whoa, I've got you, always." A tiny ice spider skittered across the viewport, crystalline legs clicking, harmless glow pulsing blue like Liora's skin. She pointed in shaky surprise, a watery smile breaking through tears, distraction easing the terror. Elias huffed a soft laugh. "Local critter. Calls them frost weavers. Won't hurt. Pretty, huh?" He fortified the hatch with emergency welds, torch sparking blue in the dim cabin. "We hold till engines cool, then ghost out." Liora nodded, wiping eyes, signing resolve with clenched fists, mixing more healing powder from her satchel, action steadying her fear into purpose. Elias watched her, affection swelling past shock. "You're stronger than any seal. We both are." Scribble. "Pawns no more. Our board now." The blizzard howled louder, ship rocking. Another stray plasma bolt glancing off shields weakly. Elias returned fire sparingly, conserving cells. Liora practiced a tiny resonance on a flickering cabin light, disabling it harmlessly, then relighting with a soft hum. Control growing despite lingering terror in her wide eyes. He pulled her close again, forehead to forehead. "Whatever locked you away, we break it together." Her nod pressed warm against him, bond unbreakable in the revelation's raw aftermath. Merc shuttles lifted finally, engines roaring retreat, Commander's final glare lost in swirling white. Elias exhaled long and shaky. Gone. For now. Relief crashed over him, but questions burned brighter. Liora sketched intertwined waves around their clasped hands, symbol of shared power. Elias smiled faintly, thumb tracing her knuckles. "Yeah, that's us. Unstoppable." Cabin heaters kicked in, frost melting from viewports in slow rivulets. A faint aurora shimmered overhead, Kryos-V's thin atmosphere painting greens and purples across the storm. Liora pointed in awe, fear melting to wonder, Elias joining her gaze, shoulder to shoulder. "Even here, beauty fights through." They sat side by side on the deck, planning in quiet scribbles, relationship forged in ice and fire, revelations binding them tighter than any chain against the cold void ahead. Engines cycling, hulls holding, but we're patched ugly, Elias said, wiping frost from the console as Kryos-V's blizzard tapered to lazy flurries drifting past the viewport. The ship's plating bore black scars from plasma, steam still curling off in wisps. He glanced at Liora, who fortified inner defenses with steady, deliberate hands, stacking emergency bulkhead panels, her silver hair dusted white like fresh powder. We scavenge ice for water, melt it in the recycler, then we breathe and plan. Liora signed a quick yes, exhaustion pulling at her shoulders. But she grabbed a thermal canister anyway, venturing out with him into the biting cold, boots crunching through knee-deep drifts. Winds nipped sharp at exposed skin. She scooped pure ice chunks with gloved fingers, actions efficient even as a shiver rippled through her frame. Elias hauled a larger load, protective arm brushing hers when she slipped on a hidden ridge. Careful, ice hides cracks. A harmless frost weaver spider skittered across their path, legs glowing faint blue. Liora paused, weary amusement flickering, as she signed a tiny heart shape at the creature, before shooing it gently. Back inside, they melted the ice together, steam blooming warm and inviting, fogging the cabin windows. Liora wiped condensation with her sleeve, then passed Elias a steaming mug, her gesture soft, caring, relationship deepening in the simple act of sharing warmth after cold terror. He took it gratefully, fingers lingering on hers. You're keeping us alive. More than tools. Elias contacted old allies subtly via encrypted burst, fingers tapping codes on a hidden panel beneath the nav station. His jaw tight with grim anger, fist clenching the comm unit hard enough to creak. Consortiums hunting your resonance. Want to weaponize the waves. Voice low, protective fury vibrating. Liora watched, signing concern, hand reaching to still his clenched knuckles, empathy in the gentle pressure. She practiced small resonances in the corner, disabling a test drone harmlessly with a soft, focused hum, then reactivating it with a lighter note. Control growing, but fear lingered in her tightened jaw, eyes flicking to Elias for reassurance every time the drone sparked. He approached, squeezing her shoulder firmly. You're mastering it. Gentle, like always. Oh. Her nod came grateful, a quick, impulsive hug initiating from her. Arms wrapping his waist tight, affection clear in the way her head rested against his chest, seeking and giving comfort. A hacked transmission crackled suddenly, Marlowe's heavy-set face flickering on the main screen from Helios 9. Remorse carving deep lines around his eyes, hands wringing visibly. Elias, Liora, I adopted her after dark deals, trafficking ties with the Consortium. I was part of the cage. I'm sorry. Let me help now. His voice broke, eyes pleading, shoulders slumping in shame. Elias's anger flared white-hot, leaning close to the screen, fists slamming the console lightly. You sold her out? But Liora signed calm urgency, placing a steady hand on his arm, forgiveness in her gentle squeeze, urging listen with a soft head tilt. Marlowe continued, voice trembling. I can decode your implant, extract the control code, make amends, please. Elias exhaled hard, glancing at Liora, her nod slow but sure, trust in Marlowe flickering despite pain. He plotted a course to intercept the human warship HMS Aegis, a massive vessel with 5,000 crew, cutting silently through the stars, commanded by Liora Vale. Fine, one chance at redemption, scribbled to Liora. Risky jump. Hold my hand? She intertwined fingers immediately, squeeze of solidarity, relationship strengthening in the shared gamble. En route, mercenaries tracked them again. Space skirmish erupting as torpedoes streaked past in glowing arcs. Elias evaded with expert maneuvers, twisting the freighter through a dense asteroid field. Ship shuddering, alarms wailing. Hold on, incoming! His voice sharp with adrenaline, hands white on controls. Liora used her waves to jam enemy sensors, gentle hum rippling outward, Merc consoles glitching dark across the void. Her nature contrasted the chaos, face set in focused calm despite the fear in her gripped seat, knuckles pale but eyes fierce. Elias glanced back mid-dodge, pride swelling hot. You bought us minutes. Brilliant, kid. A near miss rocked them. Liora stumbling forward, Elias catching her waist mid-lurch. Got you? Breathe. Her quick nod pressed against him. Trust absolute. They docked clandestinely with Aegis, massive bay doors yawning open like a metal maw, swallowing the freighter whole. Liora Vale greeted them sternly in crisp uniform, her focused gaze hiding layers of calculation. Drake, explain fast, or we space you. Her stance rigid, but a flicker of recognition softened her eyes. In a secure bay under harsh overheads, Nora admitted her secret. Double agent against the Consortium's Shadow Council. I fight the corruption from inside. You're not alone. Her stoic facade cracked, righteous anger in clenched fists, a quick pace across the deck, betraying inner fire. Marlowe arrived via shuttle soon after, heavy-set and remorseful, stepping down the ramp with hesitant shuffle, eyes on Liora with paternal guilt that bowed his head. I brought the decoder, neural maps ready? His voice trembled, hands offering the device like a peace offering. Liora signed a shaky why, but stepped closer, forgiveness tentative in her open palm. Elias hesitated, hand still in Liora's. Relationship anchoring his doubt. Procedure might wipe memories, everything. Marlowe nodded solemnly. Risk is mine to bear. Elias squeezed Liora's fingers. Do it, but I keep everything. Scribble. For her, every scar, every smile. They fortified in the bay as Mercs probed Aegis's edges. Small skirmishes echoing, distant through corridors. Stun rounds pinging off walls. Liora practiced wider waves, disabling a scout drone outside the hull with a controlled pulse. Control firming, but exhaustion showed in her weary lean against Elias, head on his shoulder. He supported her fully. Rest. You're our edge, our heart. Nora coordinated quietly, sharing intel bursts on a holopad, her finger jabbing corrupt council names. They built Nightglass's bait. Liora's the prize. Elias nodded, shared anger in his mirrored stance. Marlowe set up the decoder on a med table, tools humming to life, neural probes glowing. Implants deep. Hold still, son. His remorseful gaze lingered on Liora. I owe you both a lifetime. Liora held Elias's hand tight through setup, waves soothing his nerves subtly, a soft hum vibrating comfort. Space outside sparked with distant torpedo trails, Merc ships closing like wolves. Elias squeezed back, voice steady for her. We end this cycle together. Her eyes met his, trust absolute. Bond unbreakable amid fractured loyalties and looming threats. Aegis's massive engines thrummed deeper, ready for evasive jump. Marlowe's remorseful gaze on them both. Redemption starts here. Let's cut the chains. The bay lights dimmed for procedure, alliance fragile but forging in the void's rising tension. Liora's free hand signing love quick and shy, Elias answering with a firm nod and smile. Tables prepped. Neural maps live and screaming, Marlowe whispered in the sterile med lab aboard Aegis, screens pulsing with glowing brain scans. Elias strapped down, cold probes humming against his temples like angry insects. The massive warship's corridors thundered with distant stun fire, Mercs infiltrating deck by deck, bulkheads rattling. Elias gripped Liora's hand so hard his knuckles blanched white. If this wipes me clean, remember the good parts, okay? The quiet ones, the laughs. Liora's eyes welled instantly, shaking her head, no, with frantic, slashing signs, her free hand clawing his jacket like it might vanish into void. You keep everything, she scribbled fast on the pad, tears smudging the ink into blue streaks. Pain too, because it's U.S. Don't leave me with echoes. I need you whole. Her whole body trembled, silver hair falling across her face in wild strands, shoulders heaving with silent, gut-deep sobs. Marlowe's remorseful hands shook violently over the controls, sweat beading despite the chill. His heavy-set frame hunched like the weight of years pressed him flat. Procedure risks memory bleed. But I'll guide it clean, I swear on whatever's left of me. His voice cracked raw, guilt bowing his head until chin touched chest. For what I did to her, stealing her childhood, sealing her away, this is my only fix. My only one. Elias locked eyes with Liora, love raw and fierce, cutting through the fear. I'd rather remember the pain, because I want to remember her. Every scar, every smile, every wave she draws. He squeezed her fingers, thumb tracing her knuckles in slow, deliberate circles. She resonated soft harmonics through their joined hands, gentle waves calming the storm inside him, a lullaby against the chaos, her own pulse racing but steadying his. Decoder engaged with a sharp electronic whine. Flashbacks hit Elias like artillery barrages. Nightglass ops exploded in his skull, comrades vaporized in fire, the implant forced during a routine check while he was half-conscious, betrayal stinging fresh as yesterday's wound. He gasped, body arching off the table, muscles seizing, teeth gritted. Liora leaned in, forehead to his, silver hair curtaining them both. "Stay with me. I'm here, right here." Her silent lips mouthed it, waves intensifying to anchor him, her own tears dripping onto his cheek, warm and salty. Mercenaries breached Aegis suddenly, corridor firefights sparking loud, Marines repelling borders with stun rounds cracking like thunder. Nora burst through the lab doors, uniform sleeve torn and singed, fists slamming a bulkhead hard enough to dent metal. "Hold the line! No breaches past this point!" Righteous fury burned in her eyes, double agent fire unleashed. She drew a sidearm with a metallic snap, stance wide and unyielding, boots planted like roots. Liora unleashed a wider wave, ship-wide, resonant pulse rippling through every deck, disabling intruder weapons in cascading sparks that lit corridors blue. Lives saved, but exhaustion crashed over her like a tidal wave. She staggered sideways, knees buckling hard against the table edge. Elias bolted upright mid-procedure, ignoring dangling probes and sparking wires. "Liora!" Panic surged as he caught her slump, cradling her head against his chest, arms wrapping her like armor. "You push too far." Breathe, kid, breathe. Come on, stay with me." Marlowe succeeded amid the chaos, implant shattering with a digital crack that echoed off walls, screens flashing, code extracted in triumphant green. It's out, but Consortium forces are massing. More incoming, heavier armor, closing fast. His warning urgent, hands yanking probes free with trembling haste, nearly dropping one in his guilt-shaken grip. Elias awakened groggy on the table, memories flooding intact, pulling Liora close in desperate relief, arms wrapping her tight like she might dissolve into stardust. "I remember every second with you, the desert dust, the ice, the waves," tears in his eyes, voice breaking into a whisper. "The pain, the warmth, all of it. I'm still me, still yours." She clung back, silent sobs of joy shaking her, signing love over his heart rapid fire, fingers spelling it again and again, then pressing her palm flat to feel his heartbeat. They gathered intel in the lab's aftermath, hollow screens showing both sides' manipulations, Nightglass baiting Elias with the implant, Consortium sealing Liora as a child weapon in hidden labs, neural dampeners clamped at age 5. Nora burst back in, uniform scuffed and bloodied on knuckles. "Council played us all, but we turn the tables now. Their fleet signatures, closing in 3 minutes." Her stoic mask shattered, righteous wrath in every stride, pacing like a caged predator. Marlowe confessed deeper, voice hoarse and cracking into gravel. "I trafficked her young, thought protection in the cage, lies on lies, profit over her screams." Guilt crumpled him to his knees before Liora. She knelt too, hand on his shoulder, forgiveness tentative in the gentle touch, though tears fell hot on the deck. She signed hurt but heal, pulling him into a shaky embrace, redemption starting in the raw moment, her arms trembling but holding firm. Elias stood, pulling Liora up with him, determination hardening despite weakness. Arms steady around her waist as she swayed. No more running. We face them head on. Scribble. Your waves, my fight. Together forever. No seals, no codes. She nodded fierce, leaning into him. Exhaustion and love warring in her sway, but eyes blazing with shared fire. Alarms wailed louder, murk borders breaching closer, stun grenades rolling under the door with acrid smoke billowing. Nora drew her sidearm, kicking the grenade back out with a boot, hearing it detonate harmlessly in the corridor. Bridge secure. Fall back now. Fury in her stance. Marines forming a firing line outside, voices shouting coordinates. Liora resonated a barrier hum, soft shield rippling across the doorway, deflecting a second grenade blast into harmless sparks that danced blue. Exhaustion showed in her sway, but eyes blazed fierce. Elias supporting her full weight, one arm under her knees when she nearly folded. You're unstoppable. Rest on me. I've got you, always. Marlowe handed a data chip with shaking fingers, nearly dropping it twice. Council weaknesses, coordinates, safe codes, shadow accounts. Use it all. Redemption in his watery gaze, standing taller despite guilt, grabbing a fallen Marine rifle with resolve. Elias pocketed it, arm tightening around Liora. Truce or war, we dictate the terms now. Drama peaked in the lab's chaos, firefights echoing closer, emotions raw. Elias's protective rage pulsing in every muscle, veins standing out on his neck. Liora's exhausted love shining through tears, waves flickering like candlelight. Nora's righteous wrath fueling barked commands. Marlowe's broken atonement lifting him to fight beside them. They moved as one toward the bridge, Liora's hand never leaving Elias's. Waves pulsing faint but steady like a heartbeat. Whatever comes, we own our story. No more pawns. Her nod pressed fierce against his side, confessions binding them unbreakable amid the storm. A stray stun round pinged the wall inches from Liora's head, Elias shielding her instinctively, body twisting to take the impact on his shoulder. Pain flared, but he grunted it down. Nora covered rear, firing precise bursts. Marlowe lumbered behind, rifle raised. Remorse turned to desperate action. Not losing her again. Not today. Bridge doors loomed ahead, holoscreens flashing red alerts, Consortium fleet signatures closing like a noose, torpedo locks blinking. Elias breathed deep, voice steady for all. Final stand or final freedom. Your call, kid. Liora signed freedom with both hands, waves humming stronger, love and power intertwined, glowing faint around her silhouette. Nora keyed the bridge entry with blood-slick fingers. Inside, now! Seal it! They piled through, doors sealing with a hiss, emotions electric, alliance forged in fire and confession, ready for the climax ahead. Liora leaned heavy on Elias, but her eyes never left his. Trust absolute, love louder than any alarm. Bridge secure, lock it down now, Nora roared, slamming the command console with both fists as Aegis shuddered violently from torpedo impacts, red alerts flashing across holoscreens like arterial blood spraying in zero-G. The massive warship's bridge exploded into chaos. Consortium reps holographic and flickering furious. Nora's Marines at stations with rifles primed and shaking. Weapons consoles screaming overload. Elias burst through the doors like a storm himself. Liora clutched at his side, Marlowe stumbling heavy behind. We talk now, or everything burns to ash. Leora's hand crushed Elias's fingers, her waves pulsing wild and uncontrolled. Eyes wide with raw terror, but chin lifted in defiant fire, silver hair whipping as she signed no surrender with slashing fury. The holographic Consortium rep, a sharp-suited shadow with eyes like black holes, loomed gigantic across the forward screen. Drake, Vale, surrender the girl or Aegis becomes a tomb. Elias stepped forward, anger detonating in his chest, voice cracking the air like a railgun. You used us, bait and weapon. He jabbed a finger at the hollow, veins bulging. Nightglass was your trap, implant tracking like a leash around my throat. Marlowe pushed past, heavy-set frame quaking, knees crashing to the deck hard enough to dent plating. I confess, everything. Tears streamed hot down his face, hands clawing the data chip like it burned. Trafficked her as a kid, Consortium paid me to hide her power. Shadow Council's orders. His voice shattered, body folding forward in agony. Weaknesses here. Bases, codes, accounts. Take it, redeem me, or kill me. Nora snatched the chip with a snarl, slotting it in. Screens erupting with intel. Council corruption, scrolling endless like a cascade of poison. They rigged wars for profit. Aegis might cover to gut 'em from inside. Her stoic mask exploded, fists pounding console until metal buckled, voice rising to a scream. Betrayals everywhere. Nightglass just the spark. Tensions peaked, explosive. Accusations flying like shrapnel in vacuum. Elias roared, "You sealed her ears, made her bait, turned a child into a bomb." Consortium rep sneered holographic, face distorting with rage. Power like hers? Weapon supreme. Armies would kneel. Liora trembled violently, waves building involuntary, ship lights flickering wild, consoles sparking, alarms shrieking. The captured mercenary commander, bound in the corner, chains rattling, spilled under Nora's boot on his throat. Orders direct, retrieve the girl, alive. Experiment, harness waves, make armies unstoppable. His voice broke into a whimper, fear cracking him open like glass under pressure. Elias proposed truce amid the maelstrom. Voice booming over torpedo impacts, shaking the deck. Silence on secrets. We walk free or mutual destruction. Expose it all. Watch empires crumble to dust. His free hand slammed the rail, eyes blazing inferno at the hollow. Liora's waves surging in echo, lights strobing chaotic. Nora agreed secretly, whispering aside through gritted teeth, "Intel's pure gold. I plot overthrow now." Her eyes burned righteous apocalypse, hand gripping Elias's shoulder hard enough to bruise. "Go, while we hold the line!" Dramatic standoff ignited, weapons primed across the bridge, Marines aiming at hololink threats, Consortium reps image warping with digital fury. "You dare threaten us?" Hurdan torpedoes slammed Aegis harder, hull groaning like a dying beast, sparks flying from ruptured panels, crew screaming coordinates. Liora's wave calmed escalating energies. Resonant surge rippling out in a golden tsunami, harmonizing ship systems in a deafening hum. Weapons powered down involuntary across both sides, tempers easing like storm to sudden silence. Her control proving non-lethal, eyes fierce with exhausted, godlike power, body swaying but unbroken. Agreement forged amid strained, shattered voices. Consortium rep conceding through clenched holographic teeth. Truce. Secrets buried. Factions standing down, hollows fading to black one by one. Aegis stabilized with a final shudder, Marines lowering arms in stunned relief, sweat and blood mixing on the deck. Elias and Liora departed Aegis, shuttle launching into the void like a bullet from hell, bound for Aurelia. Burdens lifted but scars screaming, Elias pulling her close in the cockpit, arms crushing her to him. We won, somehow against gods. She signed free with shaking hands, tears of explosive relief cascading, waves humming soft victory around them like aurora. The shuttle streaked away, Aegis dwindling to a wounded star. Nora's voice on final comms raw and triumphant. Overthrow begins. Thanks to you. Burn the council to cinders. Marlowe added, voice breaking. Redeemed. Maybe. Tell her I'm sorry. Every day. Emotions peaked explosive. Joy crashing with fear. Love igniting amid ashes. Relief and rage colliding in every heartbeat. Stars blurred into hyperspace tears. Aurelia calling like salvation. Elias whispering through cracked voice. Our path now. No more chains, no more seals. Liora nodded, hand slamming his heart. Waves humming victory, loud enough to shake the hull. Love louder than any explosion. Console beeped final clearance. Aegis jumping opposite, war brewing behind. Elias throttled full. Home! Real home! Liora leaned into him, waves wrapping them both. Storm finally broken, freedom explosive in the silence after thunder. 8. Echoes of a new dawn. Shuttles clear. Aurelia's green calling us home. Elias murmured as the small craft dropped through the planet's lush atmosphere, clouds parting to reveal sprawling ecodomes and endless forests below. The cockpit hummed soft, final hyperspace echoes fading. He glanced at Liora beside him, her silver hair loose and catching sunlight, hand still intertwined with his. We made it. No more running. Liora signed gently. Peace. Her fingers tracing the words slow over his knuckles, exhaustion from the waves lingering in her soft lean against him, but eyes bright with quiet joy. The shuttle touched down smooth in his old hangar, ramp lowering to the scent of rain-soaked earth and blooming vines. Elias stood first, offering his hand. Welcome to the start, our station. They set up the small transport station together, Elias hauling crates of nav gear and fuel cells, muscles straining under his worn jacket, while Liora organized manifests with graceful efficiency, her gestures full of wonder at the local glow blooms peeking through hangar cracks. These runs will be short hauls. Locals need supplies, we deliver quiet. He wiped sweat, smiling at her doodle on a crate label, a tiny shuttle with waving vines. Relationship deepened in the labor. Liora tripping lightly over a loose hose during unloading, Elias catching her waist with a laugh. Easy. Ground's softer here than ice. Her silent chuckle warmed him, hand lingering on his arm, affection clear in the squeeze. Liora established her resonance center nearby, a simple dome amid Aurelia's peaceful landscapes, using harmonic energy to heal locals, ailments fading under gentle waves that hummed like distant song. First patient. A child with a twisted ankle from forest play, Liora kneeling, hand hovering, resonance sealing the swell soft. The mother gasped, tears welling. It's gone like magic. Liora signed harmony, smile kind, exhaustion from past storms hidden behind her quiet strength. Marlowe joined as worker soon after, heavy-set and atoning daily, hauling crates with honest labor among neighbors, sweat mixing with remorseful glances at Liora. I fixed what I broke, one load at a time. His voice gruff but steady, hands calloused now from work, not deals. Liora nodded forgiveness, passing him a herbal pack. Gesture of closure, though old pain flickered brief in her eyes. Daily life settled gentle. Elias flying short hauls between domes, engines thrumming over green fields, returning to Liora tending patients, her waves mending fractures and fevers. Their bond unspoken but profound, shared glances over evening meals, her hand finding his under the table, waves humming faint comfort. From a neighbor's perspective, the old mechanic across the way, watching from his stall, the alien girl mended his grandson's broken arm effortlessly, waves rippling soft blue, awe mixing with deep gratitude in the community's murmurs. She's a gift, turned pain to peace. Whispers spread, patience lining up, Liora's gentle strength drawing them, her silver hair a beacon in the dome lights. Ellis reflected once inwardly on past mistakes during a quiet haul, staring at stars, choosing this quiet redemption over old ghosts. We earned this, scars and all. Back home he found Liora waiting, sketchpad open to their intertwined waves. Golden sunset bathed the fields, population bustling in harmony, traders laughing, children chasing glow blooms. Elias approached her slow, voice soft. Can you hear me now? Liora smiled, placing a hand on his chest, feeling the beat. Don't need ears, heart speaks clear. They walked into the future, free from chains, paths self-chosen, hands linked. Themes resonated quiet. Truth over flight, understanding beyond sound, courage and amends, echoes fading soft into Aurelia's endless green.